Good morning, and thank you for attending the 6th Annual Pembroke Chamber of Commerce Legislative Breakfast. We're thrilled to have you here, as well as our local legislators, and we hope you leave here today having learned something. Before we get started, on your table, there are pads of paper and pens, and we invite you to write down a question that you'd like for the legislators. And if you have one, just raise your hand and Gina will come around and pick them up and get them to me. Of course, an event like this does not just happen. And I can't thank enough the chair of our marketing committee, Peter Brown, and our administrative assistant, Gina Anderson, for all they did to make it happen. And of course, it doesn't happen for free, and I want to thank our sponsors who were so generous to help us put this event on this morning. Long Pond Physical Therapy, Tiny & Sons, JLC Tech, Boston Connect Real Estate, Good Deeds, True Life Chiropractic, A Fork in the Road, Lori Cook. So thank you to all of our sponsors as well. And of course, the audio, which he is the best. PJ the DJ providing the audio today. There's a couple of people in attendance this morning that I want to recognize. The Pembroke Police Chief Rick Wall. Rick, where are you? And also Pembroke Fire Chief Mike Hill. And last but certainly not least, our Plymouth County Sheriff Joe McDonald. Joe is here. Also want to thank the Plymouth Chamber's Bob Nolet and Amy Naples for joining us today. For those of you that aren't aware, the Pembroke Chamber and the Plymouth Chamber have a memorandum of understanding where our members can attend the Plymouth Chamber events at their member costs, and their members can attend ours, and it's a great opportunity for both chambers. I look at it as an outstanding opportunity and value added for our members, because the Pembroke Chamber can only do so much, and the Plymouth Chamber has some wonderful programs that you can avail yourself to. So Bob, Amy, thank you very much. All right, I'd like to introduce our speakers today, and I'm going to ask them to come up one at a time. Our state senator from the Plymouth and Barnstable District, Vinnie DiMacedo. Wherever you want. I'm putting all the prettiest guys on my right, yeah. I noticed there's only a couple of chairs over there, so not sure what that means. Only one chair. Our own state representative from the 6th Plymouth District, Josh Cutler. Oh, great. Thank you, Josh. Are you asking it? No. Okay. Also from the 1st Plymouth District, State Rep Matt Muratori. And last but not least, our neighbor from the 4th Plymouth District, Jim Cantwell. I never should have said anything about the prettiest guys, because we'll split it up. Attaboy, Vinny. Playing the role of the politician. I love it. Okay, we're going to today try to discuss problems facing you all as business owners, and also problems facing our communities, which can't help but trickle down to us as business owners. And I'm going to start first with the opiate problem that's prevailing throughout all of our high schools. And this is something that isn't just impacting the high schools. It impacts the community, and anything that impacts the community is going to impact our businesses. So I'd like to start with Vinny and ask, what is the legislature doing to try to get ahead of this thing and knock it down?
Thank you, and thank you for having us. We appreciate it. It's a great opportunity to reach out to Pembroke to talk to you about what's happening on Beacon Hill. And I know this entire legislative delegation, this has been probably one of the biggest things we've dealt with. I'll say going back probably was a little over a year and a half ago, the governor was sworn in, and at his inaugural speech, he said that he spoke about the opiate problem, and he looked at everybody straight in the eye, and he says, I am going to do everything I can within my power to hit this issue head on. And he got a standing ovation, and everybody was excited, because we all know that this is one of the biggest issues that we face. And he put together a task force, and they went out and they came up with 59 recommendations approximately. One of our own Plymouth County Sheriff right here was on that task force, and they went around the entire state to try to find out what is it that we can do to try to address this. We've addressed a lot of it through legislation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this last bill that I had the privilege of being on the conference committee on, which was the opiate bill, which was a prevention and education bill. We've addressed the issue of beds, and let me just take an opportunity to tell you a little bit about beds, because I was at a hearing the other day. The Secretary of Public Safety was there, and he was talking about the problem that they've had is, this whole problem. I know many of you heard about Framingham Correctional Facility, and women that were Section 35 were ending up going to prison basically because we had no place to put them. And so they were going there, and we had a shortage of beds. We had a shortage of beds for men as well, and the only other opportunity is if you didn't put them there, they were back out on the street. And you know what happens if someone's overdosed and they're back out on the street. Guess what ends up happening? We Narcan them, they go back, they probably go back without the help. And the Secretary of Public Safety, there's 14 sheriffs there, he said, and I got a phone call from Sheriff Joe McDonald who said to me, what can we do to help? He opened up a section in his area, and he said, and he saves people's lives. And it was just, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what Joe's done. That's right here in Plymouth County, and we stood out because the interesting thing is the sheriff's departments have become, treatment facilities in many ways. They've been helping people. They've been doing things that we don't even think about. You think you're just locking people up. You're actually giving people treatment, giving them hope, turning them around, because most people, once this addiction owns them, it owns them, and there's nothing you can do, doesn't make sense. And so the reality is that having an open-minded sheriff who's looking and trying to give these people hope, because they're going to get back out on the street, and trying to turn their lives around makes a huge difference. So we've done a lot in that regard. So to that extent, I really wanted to congratulate the sheriff. Just a quick thing on the opiate bill specifically that we just recently did. Again, prevention and education. Partial fill. Partial fill is you get a prescription. Many years ago, my daughters, 5 years ago, both daughters, 15 and 17, once got their wisdom teeth pulled. They left the play, they left it, they did it the same day. They both got two full prescriptions for 10 days of oxycodone, 15 and 17 years old. That's crazy. And so what the legislature did is we did a partial fill. So somebody like myself who could say, you know what, I only want it for 3 days, or I want it for 2 days, or whatever. You can make that decision when you go in there, as opposed, because the doctors give it and they're running. And now now you have the opportunity to do a partial fill, so that you don't have all these prescriptions sitting in your counter. Because a lot of people didn't think about it. And guess what? People were breaking into the countertops. 24-hour hold, going to the situation I talked about, Joe. People overdose. You can hold them for 24 hours, evaluate them, and hopefully get them some kind of treatment. 7-day prescriptions now. You go for the first time, you go for a prescription. I talked about the 10-day. They can only give you, for the first time, opiate painkillers, they can only give you 7 days as a max. Drug stewardship program, requiring the prescription companies to have to come up with some kind of a plan, which I think is really interesting. Is challenging them, because frankly, they've pushed too much, in my opinion. The prescription companies have pushed their products too much, and we use it far more than we ever should. And lastly, another important point is SBIRT, which is a program that actually is in the school systems, and we try to find kids that might be more apt or more in a bigger situation, how would I put this politely? Find themselves in a situation where they've probably started to show signs of possibility of going down the wrong path, and you're able to pick them out. It's a very small group, but you can ask certain questions that have been professionally developed that will start to have us be able to hone in on those individuals to try to get them direction and help. And so that's part of this piece of legislation. It's the first in the nation. The governor came back. He was at a national conference of governors. We will be the first state in the nation that has tackled this issue as ambitiously as we have in this piece of legislation. And it just got signed. We all worked on that thing, and I'm just very, very proud of that. So to that issue, I'm really excited about what we're doing. Still got a real long way to go. I know you all know this. I'm looking at Chief Wall, and you know how big a problem this is. But we're dealing with it, and we're doing a lot of different things. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you very much for that.
And I should mention to our speakers that you have microphones to save you the trip up to the podium. No, I know you like the spotlight, so I didn't mind sharing.